Welcome back, everyone, to the topic of the week. And the topic of the week this week is parenting and children. So, I'm going to speak a little bit about raising children, the things that I've noticed with my clients and also with myself as a mother to a 6-year-old boy, and also some of the triggers. So, our children trigger us a lot, and this is actually a good thing. I know sometimes when you're in a moment of, stress and you notice your day-to-day life, you wake up, you're late for school, you're shouting and screaming. You may not be shouting and screaming, but internally you feel stressed and annoyed and irritated because your children aren't listening. You feel angry, and there is this anger that our children trigger within us. And I'm not blaming the child because it's not the child's fault. Children are very intuitive and know exactly from an energetic point what to do to get a response from you. And they don't do this maliciously. They're not doing this on purpose. It's just they go with their feelings. They go with that natural instinct. So if you have old wounds, let's say your mother or father ignored you when you were a child, you weren't heard, your feelings weren't taken into consideration, you were ignored, you didn't feel important, and you couldn't really voice your concerns, you couldn't voice your boundaries and so on, or there was a lack of love or something along those lines, you will still have those triggers. So not feeling heard is a huge one when it comes to being a parent, because children tend to be in their own little subconscious world, because that's what they are up to the age of 7. They are mostly in their subconscious mind, and that's why hypnosis is perfect for young children. Sometimes you don't even need to do a session. It really depends on the child. You can just listen to hypnotic audio and they can listen to it over and over again for about 21 to 28 days, and it has a massive effect on them and you'll notice a change. But obviously some children need a little bit more work. But who really needs the work is the parent. So when I work with children, I also like to invite the parent to look at themselves, and it's not to make anyone feel bad about their parenting skills. None of us were taught how to parent. We do have old triggers, and it's normal that our children are going to provoke them. How can we prevent losing our absolute shit when it comes to our kids? Because we want to ingrain them with positive beliefs. We don't want them to have anxiety. We don't want them to become addicts. We don't want them to have all of these issues that we grew up with, right? Because we all have something. And some of the things that I may have mentioned you may not identify with, but we all have something. I also wanted to give a recommendation about rewards. Please don't reward your child with sweets or ice cream. And I've had this conversation a lot, and I've worked on this a lot with a lot of clients. Weight reduction, addiction to sugar. Nowadays, everything has sugar. Nuggets have sugar. I mean, what? You wouldn't expect that. You'd think there's chicken and then we fry it and then that should be it. But no, there's sugar in it. There's sugar in tomato sauces, there's soups and so on. That's why they taste so delicious. So please be aware of that. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I actually recently gave someone a session, and I sort of knew that there's something similar was gonna come out of this session. So the client had an addiction to sugar, cakes, sweets, anything when they were stressed, when they were down. And one of the scenes, and I've asked for permission to speak about this, one of the scenes that the client went to, my client, was getting an injection. So they had to go to the doctor, and the child knew it was going to the doctor and it was going to get a pinch in the arm, and the parents said, if you do this, you'll get through it, and then I'm going to get you an ice cream, and then you can get a goodie bag and you can get all the sweets that you want. And this scene represented everything. When I am in a stressful situation, when I'm fearful, when I'm anxious, when I don't feel safe, something bad is going to happen, I can have sweets because sweets make it okay. Sweets is my reward. Sugar is my treat. So you can see how an imprint is made very, very rapidly. And it wasn't just that scene, right? It's lots of different scenes. Oh, you fell, you've got a scratch on your leg, darling. Oh, here's a Haribo. Here's a slice of cake. Oh, you've been good today. I'm going to get you a chocolate cake. And we all do it. We are all guilty of it. But it isn't a great way to imprint this into our children's subconscious mind, right? We want them to have a good, healthy relationship to sugar, to sweets, and so on, that they can happily say no to it, but also occasionally have a slice of cake and enjoy a birthday cake or some sweets at the weekend and stuff. You can set a day. What I have with my son is that we have certain days where he's allowed sugar. And it's not that I'm limiting him from it. Let's say it's not one of those days, and he has been eating very healthily, and we walk in the supermarket and he sees something that he likes, and then he asks me kindly, then I might say yes. It's not like I'm like, no, never, because you also don't want to limit them from it too much as well. You don't want to be too extreme that it's no sugar ever, because then they're going to want it in the future. They're going to go berserk when they're older because they know, I wasn't allowed this, so now I'm going to have so much of it and become addicted to it. So there really needs to be a balance. Also, impatience with children is a big, big thing. I notice that a lot of us are impatient, and there's a reason for it. Why am I impatient with my child? My child, what does it do? In that moment, I want you to do this with yourself, with your child. If you notice you're doing homework, you're doing something happens at home, and you're noticing, I feel really impatient right now. And you can feel it building up, right? You feel like a dragon about to burst into flames. What is it about that? Reflect in that moment. They're not listening to me. They don't care about me. Well, that's what it feels like, right? My feelings don't matter. I don't feel important. These are massive triggers when it comes to being a parent, and they are all ingrained from childhood. And if not from childhood, along your adolescent years. So what we can do with RTT hypnosis, we can go back to the cause of the impatience towards your child, or the impatience, the anger, the not feeling heard, the guilt. When we lose our temper, when we do respond in a way that we wish we hadn't, and we see our own parents within ourselves, and it feels horrible. The guilt is so consuming. And also, children say things sometimes to guilt trip you, and they don't do it on purpose. It's just something that sort of naturally comes out. And then when that guilt is triggered, you get even more angry and annoyed and hurt, because the hurt turns into anger. So it's a vicious cycle, and we don't want our children being ingrained with these beliefs, or having a parent that shouts or is impatient, because that will make the child feel unsafe, unprotected, insecure. What does that cause? So many things. Overweight, anxiety, it can cause addictions, it can cause everything. And I'm not saying that your actions will cause your child to in the future become an addict, but don't we want to give our children the best start in their lovely, beautiful life, and be able to look within ourselves, take that ego out and say, okay, what can I do? How can I heal for my child to have the best start in life that I may not have had? What do I wish I had in a parent? How can I be that parent? How can I be the parent that I always dreamed of? Because we can achieve it. We can achieve it. We can be better versions of ourselves every day. And I'm not saying anyone can be a perfect parent, because I really don't believe that is possible. But we can be aware, and you can be honest if you've made a mistake, and you can reflect on your actions and be open about that and take out the ego. So if you want to work on yourself, if you want to work with your child, or just receive a session for your child, then please go to leliahypnosis.com. I've worked with so many young children, teens, all the way up to 85 years of age. That has been my oldest client up to now. So go ahead and go to my website and book a free call, and we'll just have a chat and see how I can help you. Take care and all my love.